For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
In the brisk spring of 2006, 28-year-old Evan McAllister, an experienced backcountry guide, set out to scout an early season route on Mount Hood, Oregon. He was never seen again. Despite an extensive search and rescue operation led by SAR expert Tasha Nguyen, Evan McAllister vanished without a trace from the vast, unforgiving slopes of Cooper Spur. For 19 agonizing years, his family, friends, and the tight-knit climbing community lived with a profound, unanswered question, clinging to a glimmer of hope that slowly faded into despair. Then, nearly 2 decades later, a revolutionary application of satellite elevation data exposed a chilling and definitive new clue, hidden for years beneath the shifting ice. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Evan McAllister and the long-held secrets of Mount Hood. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Mount Hood, an iconic sentinel of the Pacific Northwest, stands as a testament to both sublime natural beauty and unforgiving peril. Its slopes, particularly the rugged expanse of Cooper Spur, are a magnet for skilled alpinists and a constant challenge even for the most experienced. It was within this majestic yet treacherous landscape that Evan McAllister, a 28-year-old backcountry guide, found his sanctuary and ultimately his vanishing point. Known for his meticulous preparation and profound respect for the mountains, McAllister possessed a reputation for expertise that made his eventual disappearance particularly baffling. His passion for the high country was evident in every ascent, his knowledge of its nuances honed over years of guiding and exploration. In the spring of 2006, McAllister embarked on what he considered a routine early-season route scouting mission on Cooper Spur. The objective was to assess conditions for an upcoming guided trip, a task he had performed countless times. Despite the inherent risks of solo mountaineering, especially during the unpredictable early season, McAllister's confidence in his abilities was well placed, rooted in extensive training and a deep understanding of the mountain's temperament. His last known communication was a brief satellite phone check-in from a lower elevation of the spur, confirming his progress and estimated return time. When McAllister failed to arrive back at the designated trailhead as expected, an initial period of unease quickly escalated into grave concern. Those who knew him understood this was not characteristic. Evan McAllister was never late, and he never deviated from a plan without prior notice. The alarm was formally raised by his climbing partner and close friend approximately 12 hours after his anticipated return, triggering the first wave of what would become a protracted search effort. The immediate reaction among the climbing community was one of disbelief, knowing McAllister's capabilities and the meticulous nature of his preparations. His prolonged absence was an anomaly that defied logical explanation. The alarm triggered an immediate and extensive search and rescue operation across Mount Hood's formidable Cooper Spur. Veteran SR lead Tasha Nguyen quickly assumed command, coordinating an effort that mobilized dozens of highly trained volunteers. Her experience in high-altitude rescues was unparalleled, but even she recognized the unique challenges presented by Evan McAllister's disappearance. The sheer scale of Mount Hood's Cooper Spur presented an immediate and daunting obstacle. A labyrinth of icefalls, rock bands, and hidden crevasses stretched for miles, each potentially concealing a climber. Early season conditions were particularly volatile. Meteorologist Joel Ramirez, reviewing historical data from that period, later noted the week was marked by sudden whiteouts, rapid temperature drops, and unexpected snow squalls that frequently grounded aerial support and obliterated any faint tracks. Rescuers, battling exhaustion and the elements, navigated treacherous terrain, the constant threat of avalanche and falling ice an ever-present danger. Ground teams, often roped together for safety, meticulously combed designated sectors, calling out Evan's name into the biting wind. Specialized K-9 units, trained for human scent detection in alpine environments, were deployed, their efforts often hampered by swirling snow and strong winds that dispersed any potential trail. Aerial surveillance, utilizing helicopters equipped with thermal imaging and high-resolution cameras, flew grid patterns over vast swathes of the upper mountain, whenever weather permitted. Ice climbing teams, equipped with ropes and anchors, rappelled into difficult-to-access gullies and beneath overhanging cornices, places where a fall might lead to a hidden resting place. Every available resource was poured into the search, a desperate race against time and the unforgiving mountain. Yet, as days bled into a week, the initial urgency gave way to a palpable sense of frustration and growing despair. Despite the monumental effort, the deployment of cutting-edge equipment for the era, and the tireless dedication of hundreds of searchers, not a single piece of equipment belonging to Evan, no discarded food wrapper, no definitive sign of passage was discovered. The mountain offered no answers, only an impenetrable silence that deepened the mystery of Evan McAllister's disappearance. Tasha Nguyen and her teams faced the grim reality of an investigation with no tangible leads, only the vast emptiness of the high alpine, a void that swallowed a skilled guide without a trace. As weeks of intensive searching yielded no trace of Evan McAllister, the grim reality began to settle upon Tasha Nguyen and her exhausted teams. Every accessible crevice had been probed, every rock band scrutinized, and every potential fall line investigated. Resources, both human and financial, were finite, and the mountain continued to offer only silence. With all leads thoroughly exhausted and the likelihood of survival diminishing to an impossible degree, the difficult decision was made to scale down and eventually suspend active search operations. It was a moment of profound defeat for the SAR teams, who understood that ceasing the search meant surrendering to the mountain's inscrutable will. Officially, Evan McAllister's status was changed to missing presumed deceased. This designation, while offering a legal framework for his family, provided no actual answers, no body to mourn, no definitive cause of death. It left an open wound, a perpetual state of uncertainty for those who loved him. The case did not close, rather it went cold, filed away as one of Mount Hood's many unsolved mysteries. For years, the legend of the vanished guide would circulate among the climbing community, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires, a stark reminder of the mountain's power. The passage of time did little to diminish the lingering questions. How could an individual of McAllister's caliber, equipped with modern gear and extensive experience, vanish without leaving a single clue? No broken equipment, no article of clothing, no final message was ever recovered. The sheer absence of evidence became its own haunting enigma. 19 years would pass, a vast expanse during which the world moved on, technologies advanced, and new generations of climbers ascended Mount Hood's slopes. Yet, for Evan McAllister's family and friends, those 19 years were marked by an enduring pain, a lack of closure that defied the healing process, a constant yearning for an explanation that the mountain had stubbornly refused to yield. The file on Evan McAllister remained untouched, a testament to a disappearance that seemed destined to remain forever unexplained. 19 years had passed since Evan McAllister vanished into the vastness of Mount Hood, a period long enough for the case to become a footnote in the annals of unsolved mountain mysteries. The digital landscape, however, had evolved dramatically during this time, creating new avenues for investigation unforeseen in 2006. It was not through a renewed ground search or a deathbed confession that the first crack in the impenetrable mystery appeared, but through the meticulous work of a volunteer, poring over digital archives. Priya Banerjee, a dedicated climber and amateur historian of Mount Hood's incidents, spent countless hours sifting through thousands of high-resolution photographs taken by other climbers over the decades. Her motivation was not to solve a cold case directly, but to document subtle changes in glacial features and climbing routes. Then, buried within a collection of summit photos from late spring 2006, just weeks after McAllister's disappearance, a startling anomaly emerged. In one image captured by a climber celebrating a successful ascent of Cooper Spur, a small, dark object was visible, partially obscured by a cornice of snow. Zooming in, Banerjee identified it as a piece of fabric, specifically a torn bivy sack. The significance was immediate. Bivy sacks, lightweight emergency shelters, were standard equipment for backcountry guides like Evan McAllister. What made this particular discovery electrifying was a faded, distinctive manufacturer's logo, visible only upon extreme digital enhancement. Cross-referencing this with McAllister's gear manifest, provided by his family years prior, confirmed a chilling match. The Bivy sack was identical to one listed among his personal effects, a model known for its specific color and subtle branding. This singular, torn piece of equipment, photographed accidentally nearly 2 decades ago and only now brought to light, served as a powerful, undeniable link to Evan McAllister. It was not a body, nor a definitive answer, but it was a tangible shred of evidence, the first in 19 years, confirming his presence far higher on the mountain than initially believed possible given the lack of earlier clues. The discovery shattered the long-held assumption that he had simply fallen into a crevasse low on the spur. It reignited a cold case that had long been considered beyond hope, injecting a renewed cautious optimism into the investigation. The mountain had finally offered a whisper of its secrets, compelling a re-evaluation of every assumption held about Evan McAllister's final moments and the treacherous terrain of Cooper Spur. The file, long dormant, was now wide open, demanding a new, technologically informed approach. The discovery of Evan McAllister's torn bivy sack, preserved in an archival photograph, jolted the cold case into immediate and urgent activity. For Sarlee Tasha Nguyen, the image was both a jolt and a painful reminder of the unanswered questions that had haunted her for nearly 2 decades. The file, long considered closed to active investigation, was now officially reopened, and Nguyen, driven by a renewed sense of purpose, returned to spearhead the effort. Her initial task was daunting: to re-evaluate the vast Cooper Spur area with a single crucial focal point, the precise location captured in the photograph. The challenges were immense. A blurry 19-year-old image, taken from an unknown distance and angle, offered tantalizing but imprecise data. The perspective of the amateur photographer, the exact coordinates of the bivy sack, and the subtle contours of the snow and ice that might have provided context were all lost to time. Mount Hood's environment is dynamic. Glaciers move, snowfields accumulate and melt, and rockfall constantly reshapes the landscape. What appeared in the 2006 photograph might have shifted, been buried, or eroded away entirely. Traditional ground searches, even with the bivy sack as a guide, were rendered largely ineffective after such a significant passage of time. The sheer volume of new snow and ice accumulation over nearly 2 decades meant that any surface clues would be long gone, buried deep beneath layers of the mountain. It became clear that conventional methods, which had failed to yield answers in 2006, were still insufficient. The investigation demanded a significant technological shift, moving beyond the physical limitations of human search parties and the imprecision of historical imagery. The goal was no longer merely to find surface evidence, but to peer beneath the mountain's visible skin to understand its hidden structures and processes. This necessitated the deployment of advanced, non-invasive technologies capable of penetrating ice and rock, mapping subterranean features, and detecting minute changes in the mountain's topography that might reveal a long-buried secret. The focus shifted from the immediate vicinity of the bivy sack to a broader, more fundamental inquiry into the geological and glaciological mechanics of Cooper Spur itself, seeking deeper answers about how such a skilled climber could vanish without a trace. The re-evaluation of Cooper Spur, driven by the discovery of the bivy sack, demanded tools far beyond conventional search methods. The answer lay not in digging through snow, but in seeing through it. Scientists and investigators turned to new satellite elevation data, a revolutionary technology that provided an unprecedented, 3-dimensional topographical map of the mountain's surface with astonishing precision. This advanced LiDAR-based imaging, unavailable in 2006, captured minute changes in elevation over vast areas, effectively peeling back layers of accumulated snow and ice digitally. By comparing current and historical satellite scans, researchers could identify subtle shifts in the mountain's structure that had occurred over the decades. It was through this meticulous analysis of the satellite data that a crucial and chilling discovery was made. High on Cooper Spur, within the general vicinity indicated by the archival photograph of the bivy sack, the data exposed a distinct and previously unrecognized collapse line. This was not a mere crevasse, but a deep linear fracture in the ice and rock, indicative of a significant structural failure within the mountain's glacial system. Such a feature suggested a massive shift, a sudden rupture that could have swallowed anything in its path. The collapse line, obscured by years of snowfall and the sheer scale of the terrain, had been invisible to ground teams and even earlier aerial surveys. With the collapse line identified, the next logical step was to probe beneath the surface. Ground-penetrating radar, a technology capable of emitting radio waves into the Earth and measuring the reflected signals, was deployed. This allowed investigators to create a subsurface profile, mapping out what lay hidden beneath meters of snow and ice. The radar sweeps, focused along the newly identified collapse line, delivered a stunning revelation: a significant void beneath wind-loaded ice. This was not a shallow cavity, but a substantial open space, a subterranean chamber carved out by glacial forces and potentially enlarged by the collapse. The radar imagery clearly delineated its dimensions, suggesting a deep, inaccessible chasm. The pieces of the 19-year-old puzzle began to align with grim clarity. Evan McAllister, scouting an early season route, had likely been traversing the very section of Cooper Spur where the collapse line and subsequent void were discovered. It was now highly probable that he had either fallen into this void during the initial collapse or had been caught in a subsequent movement of the unstable ice and snow, disappearing instantly and without a trace into the mountain's hidden depths. The void offered a powerful physical explanation for how an experienced guide could vanish so completely, leaving no surface evidence for nearly 2 decades. The mountain had finally relinquished its secret. Accessing the newly identified void, a subterranean chamber beneath wind-loaded ice on Cooper Spur, presented an expedition of extreme peril. Specialized teams consisting of expert ice climbers and crevasse rescue technicians were deployed. Their descent into the collapse line required meticulous planning, anchored ropes, and constant vigilance against unstable ice and potential further shifts. Equipped with helmet cameras and ground-penetrating sensors, they carefully navigated the labyrinthine depths, a glacial tomb carved by the mountain's unseen forces. After several days of painstaking effort, deep within the icy chasm, the remains of Evan McAllister were finally located. Beside him lay the remnants of his pack, a GPS device and a tattered journal, all unequivocally confirming his identity and bringing a somber end to the 19-year mystery. The full picture of Evan McAllister's disappearance now materialized with chilling clarity. The torn bivy sack, accidentally captured in an archival photograph, marked his struggle and approximate location, indicating he had been high on the mountain, likely seeking shelter or making a desperate attempt to survive. The new satellite elevation data had then exposed the catastrophic collapse line, a deep linear fracture in the ice and rock, revealing the geological event that sealed his fate. Finally, the ground-penetrating radar had unveiled the glacial void, the silent icy grave, where he had lain for nearly 2 decades. He had not simply fallen into a crevasse. He had been swallowed by a massive, sudden collapse of ice and snow, disappearing instantly and without a trace into the mountain's hidden depths. For Tasha Nguyen, the SAR lead, the resolution of Evan's case was a profound moment. She reflected on the evolution of search techniques, from the raw grit of early ground teams to the precision of satellite imagery and radar. Her sentiment was echoed by meteorologist Joel Ramirez, who mused on the mountain's capricious nature. How a fleeting weather event or a subtle shift in ice could trigger a catastrophe, a stark reminder of the fragile balance between human endeavor and natural forces. Priya Banerjee, whose chance discovery of the bivy sack had reignited the search, spoke of the collective spirit, how a community's quiet persistence, aided by new eyes and digital tools, could finally bring peace. Evan McAllister's story became a powerful narrative of human perseverance, a testament to the advancements in technology that could unveil secrets once thought lost forever, and a somber reminder of Mount Hood's enduring, majestic power. The resolution, though tragic, provided a measure of closure after nearly 2 decades of unanswered questions.